Hey guys, what's going on? It's been a while. I hope you guys are doing alright. So, as you guys know, this is it's Eid Al-Adha, in the Muslim calendar. It's something like Christmas. It's very important. Uh, the historical thing about it is like when God asked uh, Abraham to kill his son, and then when he tried to do it, he was like, no, you know what, don't do it, and they killed a sheep instead. So yeah, Muslims do that every year in Eid al-Adha. They sacrifice like cows, sheep or camels, and they just distribute this meat uh, in the poor neighborhoods and the poor community here, like in each and every city they live in. So like it's a very interesting concept. At least some people get something out of it, I guess. So this very short compilation is exactly what they like. What we do in Eid around here. I hope you guys like it. So the first thing we do, or they do, I don't know. So one day before Eid al-Adha, almost 3 million people every year go to Arafat mountain in Mecca, and they throw the biggest white party ever, where everybody wears white and they just stand there for a whole day praying for God or something. It's actually mesmerizing, and looking at that is really beautiful. And every Eid we eat a lot of candy. So this candy or Eid candy vendor made a song out of it, and this is the most viral video we have this month. They also sacrifice a lot of sheep, sometimes cows, and rarely camels in Jordan, and distribute the meat around poor neighbors in the city, or like the poor people they know. It's like a community building exercise they do every year. And the idea of having, for example, especially the small cities like my city, of having like people who go to bed without food is something out of question. Yeah, even home, like you can rarely find homeless people in small cities in Jordan, because it's like the community. Everybody takes care of everybody, and everybody is like looking out for their family members and their neighbors and everything, which is something really cool if you are into that kind of society. Yeah, that was it. If you are new to this channel, please consider subscribing after watching the video. And yeah, we're going to start the show today, and yeah, I hope you guys like it. Boop. Brain mates!
What is your profession?
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the channel again. I know it's been a while since I uploaded a video or did a proper reaction. It's just like I was really busy trying to figure out shit as always. But yeah, to be honest, this is this is something I can't even control anymore. So today we are reacting and discussing and talking about the history of Islam in Black Africa. This video is sponsored by you guys from the Streamlabs link in the description down below. If you want me to react or talk about any specific video, you can go ahead and use that link to actually donate $5 to $10 and tell me what to watch. This video and many other videos is sponsored by Matthew Man. He actually gave me a huge bulk of videos, almost 25 videos, just 2 days ago, and thankfully he gave in some money for the for the channel to actually support the channel. We thank him very much. And I thank everybody who is just watching the videos, sharing them with their friends, and doing all these things. Every little act actually matters. I love you guys very much, and let's start the video. Roll it!
Hello everyone, it's Jabbar here.
Hey Jabbar, what's going on, man?
Today's video is a patron request. If you'd like to make a video request,
You guys can do the same. If you want to have a video request of your own, you can actually become a Patreon, or maybe send a one-time donation in the Streamlabs link in the description down below. I'm plugging my business side. I think Business Jordan will be really happy for me.
of your own, you could do so by becoming a patron. The link to this can be found below. Islam is a religion with undeniable origins on the Arabian Peninsula. Its roots in the region are so strong that to present, the words Islam and Muslim are often and incorrectly used interchangeably when referring to the peoples of Arabic or Middle Eastern origin, despite the fact that not all Arabs or Middle Eastern peoples are Muslims, and also despite the fact that the largest population.
Yeah, I hear so many stories from my Christian friends. When they travel, everybody think they're Muslims, and it's sometimes a very problematic thing to actually assume, especially how people, like how some governments treat Muslims everywhere in the world.
Of Muslims actually reside in South Asia. In fact, 1 in 3 Muslims in the entire world have South Asian origins, primarily from India and Indonesia. Islam as a religion started in the holy city of Mecca. Born in the year 570 CE, Arabic prophet Muhammad is said to have started having visions from Allah at the age of 40. In 611 CE, while resting in a cave, he was allegedly given instructions on how to purify religion by a mysterious voice.
I actually think that Muhammad, he is a very smart guy, and he was a traveler, so he was traveling all over the place, at least all over the Middle East, throughout his young age and young adult age, like at least from 16, 17 until he was 40. He was like traveling all over the place. He knows each and every city in area in the Middle East, and he met so many people, especially Christians and Jews, before Islam actually came. So I thought maybe, just maybe, who he actually learned from these people about religion, and he thought, what, I think my, my tribe is doing some crazy shit. They're still it was the before kind of Islam era, and the Arab world, it was really crazy, barbaric, everybody's killing everybody. They were literally killing their, if they get a new child and it's a girl, they would just kill her directly. So all these crazy shit, So he thought maybe, religion will actually help them become something. That's my thought, that's what I'm thinking, I'm thinking out loud. And he actually, interpreted all of this into one book, and he was like, what, guys, we also have a prophet. Let's do it.
Whom he believed to be the Almighty. These visions formed the basis of the Quran, and after being expelled from Mecca, he moved into the city of Medina, where he began teaching the religion to its denizens. Within just 2 decades, nearly the entire Arabian Peninsula had converted to Islam. After Muhammad's death in 632 CE, Islam began spreading well outside of Arabia through a combination of trade and warfare. By 711 CE, Islam had expanded throughout North Africa, conquering all of the Maghreb and even the Iberian Peninsula of Europe, before finally being stopped in its tracks partway into the Frankish kingdom. Meanwhile, in Northeast Africa, Egypt was conquered just 10 years after Muhammad's death in the year 642 CE, but these conquerors never advanced further than the Nubian kingdom of Markuria. Historically, the Nubian kingdoms were regarded as the finest archers in the world, with a force of just 10,000 archers and horsemen decisively defeating 20,000 Arab warriors from the Rashidun Caliphate. Throughout the Middle Ages, Islam continued to expand far and wide, making its way all the way to India, China, and Indonesia. The Sahara Desert, on the other hand, acted as a barrier to the spread of Islam to sub-Saharan Africa, with its introductions to the region being relatively slow as a result of it. The Swahili coast and the western Sudan were the only parts of sub-Saharan Africa to adopt Islam on a sizable scale, with religion coming to a screeching halt in the West African forest zone, where the majority of the people in
This is very interesting, when you think about it. Islam was actually spread all over the place, through actually invasions or through trade, they were just like selling stuff, and they're like, you know what, why wouldn't you become Muslim? I don't know how would you like approach this, but yeah, for example, Southeast Asia, all these countries, they converted to Islam just by trade. It's really interesting. I can't even imagine that.
this region continued to practice indigenous traditions well into the colonial era. Prior to the foundation of the Islamic faith, Sub-Saharan Africa hosted several indigenous civilizations that would later convert to Islam, such as Wagadu or Ghana, the Kingdom of Gao, the Kingdom of Kanem, and the Hausa kingdoms. However, several others continued on without ever converting and even competing with their neighboring Islamic states such as the kingdoms of Edo or Benin, Mosi, Oyo, and the Ashanti. West Africa also hosted several ancient civilizations that predate the formation or influence of Islam, such as the Kintampo complex of what is now the modern-day country of Ghana, the Bira culture along the Niger River, the Nok civilization of Nigeria, the Sao civilization of Lake Chad, and the Tambuze complex of the western Niger Bend. These archaeological sites offer numerous examples of highly organized, powerful, and urbanized Iron Age centers that formed independently on the continent prior to Islamic influence. Ghana is generally accepted as West Africa's oldest known empire, which dates back to around 300 CE and perhaps as early as 100 CE, or approximately 300 to 500 years prior to the birth of Muhammad. The East African coast also hosts a collection of small trading ports that date back to at least the year 200 CE, and are known to have traded with lands as far away as China on indigenous vessels known as Mtepe, a type of ship completely unique to the Bantu peoples of East Africa, and primarily manufactured in the Lamu Islands off the coast of what is now Kenya. Unlike the Islamic conquest of Maghreb, which was a largely swift and violent movement that took place in the span of only a century or so, Islam in sub-Saharan Africa was a relatively slow and peaceful process that gradually took place over a few centuries after the advent of the camel saddle. Islam began spreading by sea across the East African coast in the 8th century CE, with the oldest confirmed mosque in the region being excavated on what is now Pate Island, Kenya, and dating back to the year 800 CE. Bolstered by the strong maritime traditions of the East African peoples, Islam quickly spread over a large expanse of the East African coast, fueled by the thriving trade economy that already existed in the region. Islam served as a tool to solidify trade relations among these diverse peoples, creating the
Interesting. So they can trust each other. They took Islam as a religion because somewhat, if they are Muslims together, they trust each other. And I think there is some kind of, Islamic guidance for trade, especially, So if you're Muslim and they're Muslim, it buying and selling will be different and easier. They would trust you more. I don't know. I really don't know. I really don't know.
Largest maritime trade network in the entire world at the time. Trading with fellow Muslims was always good practice, as it could be used as a tool to strengthen the trust, unity, and economic relations between otherwise very different peoples. It also ensured the dissemination of ideas, trade goods, architectural traditions, and technology across a very vast area. This unity was so strong that an entirely new group developed along the...
Yeah, so I think the idea becomes from, the basic... Okay, so there's very important rule in Islam, which is there's no discrimination. No discrimination between, if you're, whatever, who you are, if you're an Arab or not an Arab, if you're black or white, if you, all these things. Islam prohibits discrimination between Muslims, okay? So I guess that's how they trust each other. They started, very different people trust each other in trade and buying and selling, because the basic rule of being a Muslim, you can't discriminate between each other, between Muslims. Whatever their colors, wherever their origins is, you can't just discriminate. So I guess maybe that's why.
East African coast known as Swahili. The language of these people is undeniably Bantu in origin, but also shares a plethora of loanwords and cultural practices with Arabic and even Hindi peoples of India. For the next few centuries, relatively peaceful conversion transpired among several independent African city-states, with several large, influential, and independent city-states developing along the coast such as Sofala, Mombasa, and Malindi, which were all self-governing polities ruled by Bantu people, until they were invaded by the Portuguese in the 15th and 16th centuries, and then eventually fell under the rule of the Omani Sultanate after they successfully defeated the Portuguese in the 17th century. Similar to their East African counterparts, West Africans likely adopted Islam as a means of solidifying economic relations with their northern trade partners. Most of the region's most powerful states such as Mali, Gao or Songhai, and Kanem adopted Islam around the 11th and 12th centuries, with other kingdoms like those of the Hausa adopting it several centuries later. This conversion brought about significant cultural changes in the states within the region, including the introduction of the Arabic writing system, a foundational change in formerly illiterate societies. This also greatly strengthened sub-Saharan Africa's contact with Eurasia for years to come, as Arabic, Berber, and Sudanic peoples alike all had fellow Muslim trade partners, if you will, awaiting them on the other side of the desert. Despite this largely peaceful and willing conversion of sub-Saharan African peoples, it remained something almost exclusive to the elite and noble classes of West Africa, while the common folk largely retained traditional African religions. Oftentimes, Islam would even be blended with local religions. In comparison to the Islam of Arabia and North Africa, as mentioned before, the West African or Sudanic variety was a relatively tolerant form that in most cases allowed for its subjects to continue on with their indigenous customs and traditions with little to no consequences. Women, for example, could attain high positions in society, a stark comparison to Islamic communities elsewhere. There was, however, a dark side. As with other pagan peoples that were conquered or ruled over by Muslim elites, those who were adherents to Islam were generally exempt from being enslaved and allowed several other privileges over their non-Islamic counterparts. Consequentially, this provided a greater incentive for neighboring states to convert without being directly extorted into doing so. This led to the largest slave.
This is so weird, even though like the origin, like the main, one of the main things that Muhammad did when he started being his message, or the idea of spreading Islam, all these things, people are not allowed to have, like, he freed all the slaves, and he was like, slavery is not prohibited, you can't do that. But I don't know, people just keep doing, when it comes to religion, I guess people just take whatever they want and they stick with the things they want the most from their culture. Okay, so you can see so many different things happening everywhere in the world. It depends on the culture, not the religion, I guess.
Trade in recorded history, even dwarfing the transatlantic slave trade, strictly in regards to the quantity of slaves alone. Facts like these often upset local rulers and sometimes led to full-on anti-Islamic movements, or basically jihads or crusades, but led by non-Muslim states to fight off the presence and influence of Islam. The Empire of Ghana, or Wagadu, traded with Muslim Berbers peacefully for centuries, while still retaining their traditional religions. The king was known to be very friendly towards Muslims, and even had entire sections of the capital allocated to accommodate them, featuring stone dwellings. However, as many rivaling states became more and more disgruntled with economic and political dominance of Wagadu, many wars ensued, and eventually, the Islamic Almoravid dynasty of Morocco made an alliance with the neighboring kingdom of Takrur, another Islamic African state, to take over Ghana and impose the Islamic religion. This conquest, however, was very short-lived and complicated, only lasting 11 years before the Almoravids were pushed away, followed by Ghana's collapse into several smaller kingdoms. Roughly a century later, another pagan kingdom emerged to replace Ghana as the dominant state of the region, with its ruler Samaru Kante having a strong distaste for Islam. He rapidly and relentlessly expanded his empire in an attempt to take over all of Ghana's former holdings. However, surrounded by Islamic neighbors, and holding a reputation for being an overall very cruel leader, northern trade networks with Muslim Berbers were relocated to new centers, and eventually he was defeated by a federation of Mande states in the Battle of Krina in the year 1235. This led to the formation of the Islamic Empire of Mali. Over the next several centuries, this region would see the rise and fall of several other Islamic empires in the Sahel that grew wealthy in the trade of enslaved pagans, gold, and local crops. This was interrupted after the Saudi dynasty of Morocco defeated the Songhai Empire after decades of battles. West Africa then disintegrated into several smaller kingdoms, one of which was known as the Segu or Bambara. Like the aforementioned Soso Empire, this small kingdom strongly opposed Islamic presence. Not only did they grow to become one of the largest empires in the region, but they also defeated the Moroccan Pashas and forced them to pay tribute, same gun-wielding Pashas that defeated the Songhai Empire. A few decades later, they laid siege to what remained of the Mali Empire, and conquered them as well. The last major conflict between Islamic empires and traditional ones was in the 19th century. The Islamic Fulani led a jihad in West Africa, conquering not just traditional peoples, but also the already Islamic Hausa kingdoms, with the objective to convert them to a more pure version of the religion. They held sway to all of Hausa land and surrounding areas until the early 20th century, when they were conquered and assimilated into French West Africa. Today, 47% of all African people are Muslims, accounting for 1/4 of the...
Yeah, I didn't know that. I did not know that. But yeah, maybe, I don't know. 47% of the entire African population. That's interesting.
World's entire Muslim population. It remains an important part of the lives of millions of diverse African cultures and ethnic identities, despite its origins in West Asia 1500 years ago. Despite the plethora of Arabic cultural influences that Islam has brought to Africa, it is a religion that is practiced by African people and their cultural influences in a manner no different than Christianity in Europe. Traditional practices still run deep within African communities and are loudly and proudly flaunted throughout the continent, even in spite of Islam and more recently, Christian influences. Much of what we know about Africa's past comes from the written records of Islamic peoples in and out of Africa. And to present, over 700,000 Islamic manuscripts written in Arabic remain in Timbuktu.
Oh my god, this is amazing. For some reason, this last sentence gave me goosebumps. There's a lot of, there's almost 700,000 like books or something. They're written in Arabic that, you know, describe the history of Africa back then. And oh, that would be fucking awesome. I really want to read that. Okay, let's.
That could possibly rewrite the history of West Africa. Also, as I mentioned at the beginning, this video was requested by a patron, and if you'd like to make an awesome request of your own, you can do so by becoming a patron. Your pledge directly supports the channel and contributes towards the betterment of my content and the African history community as a whole. Thanks for watching, guys, and always remember,
Goosebumps.
we don't come from nothing.
Alright, so yeah, that was really interesting. So yeah, thank you very much, Matthew Man, for sponsoring this video and many other videos like you guys see here. He is like literally making it rain on this channel. So, and yeah, we have a lot of videos to go through from the things that Matthew suggested. Please, if you have any suggesting, if you want to donate or support the channel, there's the Patreon, and there's also, you know, the Streamlabs link in the description down below. You can you know, can throw $5 to $10 and tell me what to watch next. I love you guys very much. This was a really interesting video. I learned a lot. It's a very interesting topic, and it makes you think how sometimes ideas, even though like they're very questionable, they spread all over the place because they have like little pieces that are okay in them or something like that. Anywho, I love you guys very much. Please consider subscribing. If you are new here, hit that like button, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out. Hey guys, I'm business guy Jordan, you know, hence the glasses, the hat, and the formal kind of sitting. Nah, I'm just fucking with you guys. Still, I'm the business guy Jordan. I'm here to tell you, please guys, support this channel. Let's keep it alive. You know, there's the Streamlabs link in the description down below. There's the Patreon thingy. Go ahead and support this channel. Let's keep doing the good work. That's it. That was not that. It was not that professional, right? I know. I'm business guy Jordan. See you guys in the next one.
That's my best friend. That's my best friend. best friend. That's my best friend.